What do you got, Coach? 3 things that all coaches need.
Who would you put on your Mount Rushmore of coaches?
New York or the Aces? Definitely going with the Aces.
All right, 4th down. Who has the tougher job, coaches or officials? If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? For Texas, it's different. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Coaches Co-op. I'm your host. My name is Coach P. My government name is Michael Prejean. It's all out there on the internet. But I'm back again. Some of y'all may think what I'm going to talk about today is controversial, but it's not. Okay? It's Black History Month in the Coaches Co-op. And Black History Month isn't just about remembering names, but it's about remembering standards. It's about leadership under pressure, excellence that doesn't always get applause, and greatness that didn't necessarily ask for permission. So today we're going to talk about the one basketball player who I believe is the greatest of all time, the GOAT. All right. So listen to me. Today I want to talk about a man who doesn't always get the emotional credit he deserves, but whose resume still towers over all others in basketball history. Y'all know exactly who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Okay? I'm making this case respectfully, statistically, historically, and also culturally. So I need y'all to stick with me. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest basketball player of all time. Quiet dominance, not loud greatness. So let's get into it. Listen, the numbers haven't been marketed, but let's start with facts. All right. 6 NBA championships. 6. You know who else talks about having 6? 6 MVPs. Still the most MVPs ever. 19 All-Star appearances. 15-time All-NBA selection. 11. That's 10 fingers plus 1 all defensive teams. Rookie of the year. And when he retired, 38,387 points. Listen, that's not just a flash in the pan. That's 2 decades of elite production. Kareem won titles as the man, and then he also won titles later as the veteran anchor along the man that we know as Magic Johnson. So while most players will give you the dominance or the longevity, Kareem gave us both. So let's talk about these numbers. 6-time NBA champ. Come on. Y'all love to talk about Mike, and respectfully, we love Mike. 6 champions. 6-time league MVP. Played 20 seasons at an elite level. That's not a peak. That's a career. So listen, he won titles in 2 different decades, in the bruising 70s and in the 80s with the Showtime Lakers. Come on, man. All right. So that matters. So because greatness is not about a magical season, it's about showing up every year, every rep, and in multiple eras. That's Kareem. All right. Listen, I don't know if there's any other player we can say this about. Here's something that everybody needs to know. While Kareem was in college, the NCAA literally banned dunking. Come on, think about that. They banned dunking. The man was so dominant that they said, you know what? We're going to ban the dunk. So they didn't change defensive schemes. They didn't challenge coaches to recruit better, right? Get better players. They changed the rules because Kareem, back then his name was Lou Alcindor. He was just too dominant. So what did he do? And this is why the man is the GOAT. He perfected the sky hook. The sky hook. A shot that is unstoppable, physically unreachable. Nobody could could block it. Nobody could guard it. Nobody ever solved him. So that skyhook carried him through over 20 NBA seasons. So what's the lesson there? Listen, in Black history, when obstacles get in the way, the true greats don't complain, they evolve. And that's why we're talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in this Black History Month episode of the Coaches Co-op, because he didn't complain, he evolved. So now let's talk about this. In 71, Kareem changes his name. So he goes from Lou Alcindor to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Not about branding. It was about his beliefs, all right? That changed everything. In that moment, mainstream America got really uncomfortable. Kareem never got to be a product of the marketing machine that LeBron had, that Kobe had, that Magic had, that Michael Jordan had, right? He became harder to package. And when somebody is harder to package, then, you know, you don't get access to him the way we should have gotten access to him. That impacted him. So he didn't smile on command. He didn't soften his convictions, right? Being a Black Muslim man in America was uncomfortable. He spoke openly about race, about power, about dignity. So while others were being elevated as faces of the league, Kareem was quietly minimized in the storytelling. He was still respected, but he was not necessarily embraced. And that matters. And that's why I think we have forgotten about Kareem when it comes to the GOAT conversation, right? And when I'm saying the GOAT conversation, but I really should say it this way. Sometimes we forget about Kareem when we talk about the GOAT conversation. So we talk about Jordan and we talk about LeBron. And for some reason, we forget to talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So the rules change. He invents the skyhook. Then he changes his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So what does that name mean? That name means servant of the Almighty, noble servant of the Almighty. It was about identity. And remember, this is early 1970s America. This is 1971. So the civil rights movement is still happening. America is still raw from the assassinations of my personal hero. That would be Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You also had the assassination of Malcolm X. Okay. So he becomes less marketable almost overnight, not because he stopped dominating in basketball, but because his Muslim identity made mainstream America uncomfortable. He refused to soften his beliefs for endorsements. He didn't smile for cameras the way the sponsors would have preferred he do. And again, he spoke truth to power. He spoke directly about race, power, and history. So if you contrast that with who later became the face of the NBA, Magic Johnson, Magic is charismatic, approachable, corporate friendly. Right. Well, Kareem was the intellectual. He was reserved. He was unapologetically political. And if you have watched my podcast, The Network, we had an episode recently where we talked about everything is politically. So while Kareem is piling up MVPs and championships, he's quietly being pushed into the margins. Right. GOAT conversations are emotional. And Kareem never chased that popularity. He chased principle. So even later when he showed humor in the movie Airplane, showing my age here, people were shocked because it's almost like they hadn't seen him be human before. So again, in Black History Month, standing in who you are, even when it costs you the spotlight, is what the GOATs do. All right. So I respect Michael Jordan. LeBron James is my favorite player of all time. Jordan had the peak. LeBron has had the longevity, but Kareem had the peak and the longevity. He had the offense and he had the defense. Titles across decades, leadership across generations and franchises. He dominated the physical 70s. And again, man, he thrived with the Showtime Lakers. He aged gracefully into championships. He even accepted reduced roles so that his teams could win. That's complete basketball. That is complete leadership. That's why I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the GOAT. So here's what Kareem teaches us, and I want you to understand this. The greatness doesn't always need the hype. Consistency can beat charisma. Adaptation can beat the entitlement. Identity beats approval, and leadership doesn't always come with a great marketing team. So if you want the flash, you'll find it. But if you want the substance, I need you to study Kareem. So this Black History Month, coaches, I'm talking to you now. Don't just show your players highlights. Show them examples. Show them a man who mastered his craft, stood on his values, and quietly built what I believe is the greatest resume the game has ever seen. Because the skyhook wasn't just a shot, it was a metaphor. High release, calm execution, unblockable. That's how Kareem lived. That's how we led. And that's why I believe the GOAT conversation starts with him. So this month, Black History Month in the Coaches Co-op. Coach, thank you for doing the work that you do. If this episode has resonated with you, I did my job. Share it with somebody in your circle. And remember, we don't just build athletes, we build people. I'm Coach P. This is the Co-op. This is Black History Month. And we'll see you next time.